Today we're going to look at half-angle identities with the unit circle. That there's more trigonometric identities other than the ones that we've already covered. The Pythagorean identities, the quotient identities, the reciprocal identities, those kinds of identities. The half-angle identities are useful when you're asked to find the exact value of the unit circle. So the three formulas are right here. So the sine of theta divided by 2 is plus or minus, and cosine of theta divided by 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine theta divided by 2, and tangent of theta divided by 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cosine theta divided by 1 plus cosine of theta. We have to be really, really careful because we don't want 0 in the denominator, and that's why it says that the cosine does not equal -1. That will cause us to have 0 in the bottom row, means that the fraction would be undefined. Just a couple of pieces of information that might be helpful for you. Theta in the above equations will always be double the angle that you're trying to find. For example, if you're trying to find sine of 15, you have to double 15, so you would use 30 in place of theta. Secondly, the plus or minus in front of each of the square root represents plus or minus, not both. It's going to be one of those answers. Your answer is either going to be positive or negative depending on what quadrant the original angle is in. So you might want to, if you're taking notes here, you might want to highlight. I don't have a highlighter here in front of me, so I'm going to circle it. The original angle is, and then here on these notes, a little example with the value of something that we already know. So we can kind of, the problem that we're going to work on is determine the exact value of cosine of 60 using the half-angle identity. So our step is to determine what formula we're going to use. Scooting this back down. So we are going to use the cosine half-angle. Second part, we're going to determine whether the answer will be positive the angle is in, whether it's sine, cosine, tangent. Remember the rules for what trig values are positive or negative in each quadrant. And if you've really been going on circle and all of this trigonometry for this semester, we keep going back to the unit circle and the basics. Third, we're going to follow the formula. By the way, let's go back to step 2. So let me answer this. Again, depending on what quadrant we end up in. So 60, this is in quadrant 1, and all of our functions are positive in quadrant 1, so our answer is going to be positive when we finish this. Thirdly, it says follow the formula, be careful what you plug in for theta. It should be double the, as we doubled the angle, 60 times 2 is 120. And then that value of 120 is what we're putting back in over here. Now, I don't know about you, I have a little bit of trouble going back to degrees. I'm very much a radian person. But I think for the half angles that it's easier to use degrees, and that tends to be what Edmentum does. So this is going to be 1 plus the cosine of 120. Well, that is 2 pi over 3, if you need it in radians, and 2 pi over 3 then is going to give you a value of -1/2 divided by 2. And all of that's underneath the square root symbol. And what you can do is you can type this into the calculator. I just typed that value in, so 1 plus -1/2 divided by 2 is 1. And we already know that the cosine of 60 is 1/2. It's the same thing as if you need to be in radians. Again, I kind of have to look because I have trouble with the degrees. But that's how the back.